What's up, fam? Welcome back to rLounge. Today, we learn that forgiving yourself, believing in yourself, and choosing to love yourself are the best gifts one could receive. Our first OP makes herself a priority. Narcissistic mother-in-law is going to destroy our relationship. My husband, 38 male, and I, 31 female, have been together for 8 years now and have a 2-year-old. His mother's always been overbearing, manipulating, and selfish from the beginning, with a huge victim mentality. And 3 out of 4 of her children refuse to see or talk to her for more than a few times a year for the holidays and stuff because of her behavior. Examples of her behavior would be trying to manipulate every aspect of her adult children's lives, from the color of the car that they're purchasing. She was very mad her 40-year-old son was getting a black car because it gets dirty easy, to her 25-year-old son's girlfriend staying over at his place. She also likes to make snarky comments and pass them off like jokes. Like when she heard me practicing the piano, she was like, "That's horrible. Do we really have to listen to this?" Then laugh and says, you know I'm playing. We joke around a lot in this family. Better get used to it." I'm a pretty non-confrontational person and have always tried to look past her behavior. But there was one incident where she was insanely rude to my mother, and ever since that, I've been only cordial with her and try to avoid any personal communication that doesn't involve my husband. By the way, my husband is her favorite child, and he's the only one that's been there for her, while the others bailed. Since the birth of my son, my tolerance of her has gone down significantly. At first, she acted like she wanted to be super helpful and watch him all the time, etc., which turned out to be fake, of course. My family doesn't live near us, so she is the only one that could help if we needed something. There were a couple of times she watched him for 1 or 2 hours at a time so I could work. I gave her exact instructions on how she should put him down for a nap. Sleep sack, lights off, sound machine, on his back, etc. The safe stuff that you do for babies. She had a problem with each of those. She kept saying she put all of her babies on their tummies and they were fine, that the sound machine was bad for him. She didn't like the sleep sack and was going to use a loose blanket. SIDS risk next time. After the second time, I came home to get my son and asked how he did, and she says he didn't sleep at all and fussed a lot. And I was like, "Well, that's unusual. Sorry he wasn't good for you." And she admits that she left the overhead light on the whole time he was trying to sleep, which shines right into his face, because she doesn't agree that babies should sleep in darkness. I was angry, but didn't say anything other than, "Oh, he likes the dark." She also made comments throughout the first few months of me being a new mother that I believe triggered my postpartum anxiety to the point that I wanted to die. If someone told me I looked good for just having a baby, she would chime in, "I was like that after every baby. I could fit into my size 4 jeans when I left the hospital," making me feel slightly inferior for not fitting into my old jeans yet. She would also tell my husband things like, "Is she making enough money to justify a babysitter?" while I worked. "This is why I stayed home with my babies." And, "She's very unlucky. My husband didn't help with my babies," which made me feel like an inferior mother. She recently did some additional rude things that finally made my husband see the light and say that I was right about her all along. Anyways, the advice I need is that I want to cut her out of my life and not to have contact unless it's a large family gathering. She can see her grandson whenever she wants, but I don't want her to watch him. And my husband thinks that if I tell her about how she hurt me, she will actually get better and things will go back to normal. I think she's manipulating him and he's delusional. I love my husband and don't want this to ruin our relationship. Does anyone have advice for what to do? Update. I told my husband I'm going to keep my distance and he can continue to see her as he pleases. He said, "No, you're going to have a relationship with her. This is not an option." I tried to explain that she is bad for me, but he keeps saying that she hasn't been all bad and has done good things for us too. Which is true. She has done nice things and helped pick my birthday gifts and wrap them and stuff, which honestly made me want to return them. He thinks I'm taking this way out of perspective and being dramatic. He said he will defend me and take my side, but we are to continue seeing her. He also absolutely refuses therapy. I'm disappointed. Is he too far gone? Ask the opinion, and here it comes. Iconoclast Monkey chimes in first. He's deluded. Go back to normal? Ask him what normal would look like for her. Does he mean her being rude with her jokes? Overbearing with her comments? That'd be a hard pass for me. She's shown you who she is. Believe her. Next one from TA Storm VA56. Do not speak with her about it. It's your husband's job to deal with his mother. Please never leave your baby alone if you can. Set up boundaries and let your husband deal with her. You need a mental break. Pay the Celt says, tell your husband you'll give her one chance and you'll share how she makes you feel and ask her to be respectful. Don't give her access to the baby alone. That's a safety thing. But make it clear to your husband that this is a one-time chance for her to prove you wrong. But she probably won't. she'll prove him wrong. Assuming she does show her backside, if your husband doesn't see it, you know you have a bigger problem than her. And if he does, it will be much easier for you to go low contact or no contact and to set boundaries with the baby. But either way, you've been nice and she's made it clear that she's not going to be respectful, and he doesn't have the ability to say you didn't give her a chance. Slow Jackal chimes in with an extensive thought. Mother-in-law is clearly in a competition with you, in her head that is. She needs to convince the world that whatever you do, she can do or has done better, and all of that is because she's jealous of you. Typical just no mindset. Obviously, she isn't a person to feel safe, loved around, and I can see why you would want to cut contact unless absolutely necessary. The good thing is that your husband is on your team. As a side note, I really am curious what made him see her for who she really is. I completely disagree with your husband, though, on his naive thinking that if you talk to her, she will improve. Not a fat chance. He clearly doesn't know his mom, like most sons of nasty mother-in-laws. The way we behave is how we want to behave, and when we are being nasty to someone, it's because we are nasty in the first place. You never gave that woman reason to dislike you. It was her choice to mistreat you, and that's what she will keep on doing unless she is faced with boundaries and consequences. And then, she will fake everything because she will know her true self will not be tolerated. It's not your job to invest time and energy to convince an adult to behave like a decent human if they can't figure it out themselves, or even if you did, it would certainly backfire. Trying to confront a person like your mother-in-law is a challenge because she will twist everything around, gaslight, play the victim card, and in the end, you will be the bad guy for making a poor woman with good intentions cry. No, don't do that. Actually, you don't have to explain anything to her. You don't report to her, she has no business butting in your life, and you don't owe her an explanation. You just ghost her, ignore her, and let your husband deal with her because it's his problem at the end of the day. She texts, you ignore. She calls, you ignore. She calls your husband, he puts her in her place. OP is busy. If you need something, text me. She wants to visit? Husband shuts it down. You have plans, are unavailable. He can schedule a meeting at her place on X day for him and her and maybe little one if you feel like it. Gradually, she will realize that your husband is shielding you from her and that he has your back, so she can't afford to mess things up. She better behave and leave you alone. The OP replies, "Thank you for making me feel like I'm not being unreasonable about my feelings. I really needed this kind of validation to know that I have to stand on my ground. And 100% agree with all of your advice, even with the limited information in my post. As to what made him see her finally, it was my birthday over the weekend, and we haven't done anything fun recently, so my husband planned a dinner with friends and wanted to go out dancing after. He talked to my mother-in-law about watching our son overnight, and she agreed and said that she would stay over at our place. This was supposed to be somewhat of a surprise. He even booked a hotel so we could get away. He ended up telling me about the hotel a few days before because I haven't been super okay about mother-in-law watching little one, and he wanted to check how I felt. He has had a little sickness and wasn't sleeping great, so I said I'd rather be home after if we needed to help rather than worry about him all night in a hotel. By the way, my mother doesn't live near us, but she has visited a few times since my son's been born and encourages us to always plan something for just two of us during that time so we can get away. I feel 100% comfortable with that, and even a couple of babysitters that we trust. I'd rather have these two college-age girls watch him than my mother-in-law." Anyways, my husband agreed and canceled that portion, although he thought it was being a little dramatic and she could handle anything since she has raised 4 kids, blah blah. The day of this planned dinner, she tagged along while we took our son somewhere to play. While we were there, she tells me that she has deleted me off of Facebook because I posted something in my story about voting a certain way in a local election to protect reproductive rights, and she didn't agree with it. She actually called my husband after seeing this and told him to tell me to take it off because people that she knows could see it, and we live in a conservative area and it would affect their reputation and business. I wasn't happy about this and told him that she can mind her own business, and after that, she deleted me off of Facebook like a child. She told me this the morning of my birthday dinner and when she's supposed to watch the little one. A couple hours after that, I felt my anxiety return and I started having a panic attack about this psycho watching him at all. I was very close to canceling it, but kept the plans to have this one opportunity with my husband to go out and have fun. Fast forward right before we left, she tells me not to drink too much and not to be out late. We left, and I told my husband this in the car, that she acted like she wanted us to return early. He says, "No, I promise you, I talked to her and she is going to stay all night and will help in the morning so we can sleep in." Even right after the dinner, I asked him if he was 100% sure that we could go out dancing. He says yes. Don't worry, enjoy your birthday. Well, we got back at 2 a.m. and she wakes up, grabs her bag and says, "I told you not to drink too much and stay out this late. Now you will pay for it tomorrow. My room is too hot and I couldn't get any sleep. You didn't prepare the room for me, etc." Then, effing starts to leave. My husband got really confrontational, and I walked away because no thank you. He let her have it, and eventually she felt bad and was like, okay, I'll stay, and told her to leave. She kept texting and calling both of us for at least another hour, saying she would open the garage door and enter that way if we didn't let her in. By the way, opening the garage door rattles the little one's room and makes him wake up, and she knows this, so it was a threat to wake him up. Next morning, my husband let her come back and play with him for a couple of hours because we had only gotten 2 hours of sleep. Then, she sent a very psychotic text trying to guilt us for staying late because we left our child for a long time and an emergency could have happened and we wouldn't have known and put him at danger basically. Also, said you didn't prepare your house for me and she had to go down 2 flights of stairs to get towels. So yeah, then he was finally like, oh, I think she has problems. First of all, it sounds like your mother-in-law is clinging to the only people she has left. Secondly, establish clear boundaries with your spouse, OP. Let him know that it is okay for him to maintain a relationship with his mother without involving you. By doing this, you can eliminate the pressure to please your mother-in-law. Chances are, she doesn't want to be your friend either. If your spouse is constantly pushing you into uncomfortable situations, make it clear that friendship is not a necessity and that it's okay for him to have a relationship or do things together that do not involve you. Trust me, you will be much happier and your marriage will suffer significantly less in the long run. Creating distance in any toxic relationship can alleviate tension. Emotional and physical distance may be more closely connected than you realize. Not being available at the drop of a hat is a good thing when dealing with a toxic relationship. It lets her know that she is no longer the only important person in your spouse's life. Don't feel guilty for not picking up every phone call, OP. Your husband shouldn't either. What do you think OP should do about her mother-in-law? Let us know in the comments below. Am I the a-hole for wanting to go no contact with my mother-in-law before the baby arrives? Since I've met my mother-in-law, our relationship has been nothing less than a wooden roller coaster, missing a few screws. Occasionally going completely off rail. Examples of the derail are buying my wedding ring set in a bigger carat despite being unmarried and wearing it on her wedding finger to show everyone she has the bigger version of my ring, or saying things like, you're his wife, but we're blood and that matters more. Despite these occurrences in the recent years, it's been pretty calm, which I now realize was nothing but a build-up to the entire roller coaster crashing and burning. We're pregnant with our first child. Yep, you guessed it. The prequel to the events that takes our relationship to a one-way trip to hell. I realized that this was the beginning of the end when her response was, aw, yay, I'm going to be a grandma. You know we're going to get in fights and you'll have to get over it because I'm going to tell you how to take care of her. I raised 2 perfect babies. I kid you not, that was the second sentence following our sweet personal announcement to just her. Fast forward to present day, where I'm due in less than 2 months. My husband's family lives in another state than we do, which is probably why we've been able to keep the peace so long. Recently, she not asked, but informed us she'd be coming to stay for a month or 2 as soon as I gave birth. I literally laughed out loud and left the room to avoid completely losing my entire crap. My husband responds kindly with an answer similar to, we will let you know when's a good time, but we need time alone with our baby to get a routine and familiar with the new way of life. Well, her response is, you're not going to keep me away from my baby. I've always wanted a girl. Those words, my baby, caused an incinerator to ignite in me I didn't even know existed. Your baby? The actual F is she talking about? Anyway, he basically ignores her and gets off the phone with her. It's very clear she has never respected my place in my husband's life, nor does she respect him. So I told him today, I don't think I'm comfortable having my child around her or his dad and stepmom because of the past and their lack of respect, boundaries, and continuous gaslighting when the issues are brought to the table. It really hurts his feelings and he doesn't think it's fair or right to deny them access to our baby, but I can't fathom anything healthy or good she could learn from them, so what's the point? They literally have gone my entire pregnancy without checking on me once, and barely talked to their son. He's still pretty upset at me because of my firm stance. Am I being unreasonable? Am I the a-hole here? Let's check in with those community comments. First up, Crinkle B. F them. No one deserves time with your baby. Maybe try something like, dear husband, your parents have consistently treated me horribly. Do you agree? I'm not willing to subject myself to that for at least 6 months after going through birth. If they can be respectful of the time I am taking for myself and little one, we can come to some accommodation for them to visit our city, staying in a hotel and having short visits in which you handle everything. The first hateful, bullying, or otherwise rude comment will end the visit for at least 6 months. I am not willing to give my piece up to allow you to cater to them. Another opinion from EMR 830. tell her if she dares to show up at your home uninvited, she will not be allowed in. If your significant other lets her in anyway, lock yourself in your bedroom or leave with the baby for a while. Jasmina8487 wants to get in. So he is okay with you being the doormat always? Like, his peace depends on you being kicked to the curb and get insulted at all times? Stand your ground. If he is that upset, he can go sit on mama's lap or wear big boy pants and man up to protect you and your baby. Next up, mother-in-law has planned our unborn baby's future. Mother-in-law is my wife's ma'am. Me, male 36, and my wife, 35, are expecting our first child and are stuck with a pain in the arse mother-in-law who thinks it's hers. Seriously, she has already planned shopping trips, holidays away together, etc., and told members of her family her exciting plans without even speaking to us first. This could be seen as just grandparent excitement if it wasn't for the fact we recently had a huge fallout and are currently not speaking. Now, my wife has been honest and told me her upbringing wasn't the best and could be seen as emotionally abusive, and sadly, this is due to the strict dictatorship she grew up in with a single parent. Due to this, my wife has had her own barriers in life to overcome, so we are naturally cautious about the mother-in-law parenting skills and don't want this negative and manipulative environment for our child. She just refuses to respect us as adults and without question or permission just goes ahead and makes decisions for us all the time. She, like most, tried to organize our wedding with tons of guests and dinner, dances, etc. We tried to run away to Scotland, just the two of us, but settled for a COVID wedding with 3 guests. She was not happy and almost ruined the day by doing what she wanted. Most recently, we decided we would build a relationship with her for support with the baby and move closer. She wouldn't allow us to move in with her to save money unless we rehomed our cats. She offered deposit money, which we really did not want to take, but a flat came up for a rent a few doors down from her and we really wanted to move in, so we took her offer. However, she was worried about our noise levels and that we would annoy her neighbors. Due to the flat being furnished and us having 2 pets, 2 cats, she worried about damages to the furniture, and in the end, she decided she didn't want us moving in, to protect her relationship with her neighbors and the landlord. She took away the money option on the day of the viewing and refused to help, treating us like kids as usual. We were fuming and we asked for space to calm down. She gave us a week before sending us a check in the post with a 1-lined note and no apology. When we refused the money and instead asked for an apology and a better relationship, she used passive-aggressive and emotional abuse to guilt trip us into making us feel like the bad guys. She will not acknowledge her mistakes, her behavior, or apologize, instead tries to manipulate with money and gifts with terms attached. My mother-in-law has been single 20 plus years because she doesn't respect the opinions of others and is always right. She won't back down, apologize, or compromise. She refuses to get hobbies and feels our child will give her some purpose in life, hence why she's planned it all out. She doesn't even see us as the parents and has told us both to go back to work full time, not worry about the baby, and that she will take care of it. All is quite shocking. We are the parents, not her. We need advice, boundaries, or an intervention. Please help. Help is on the way. First up from Buttercup 303. Boundaries only work when there are consequences attached to breaking the boundary. She wants your baby as her do-over baby. The doors and windows of your house are boundaries. If someone breaks into your house, the consequence is that you will have them arrested for breaking in and they will go to jail. This boundary and consequence deters most people from breaking in and stealing. They don't want to go to jail. It's not worth it to them. If you have a boundary but no consequences, there is no punishment for breaking the boundary and no reason for someone to stop at the boundary line. So, boundaries for your mother-in-law only work if there are consequences, and the consequences have to be painful to her and appropriate to the crime. Common ones would be ending the visit immediately, even if you're in the middle of a dinner, canceling a future visit, putting her in an adult timeout, no contact for a specific period of time, for her to think about her bad behavior, and you to calm down after the incident and decide what you want to do going forward. She is acting like she wants to raise your baby, like she wants to play pretend mommy to your child. She raised her kid, it's your turn to raise yours. You and your wife need to do what is best for you and your baby. She wants to make those decisions for you. That's not what grandmas are supposed to do. They are supposed to be the assistant or helper when you need help. Defer to your rules because it's your child. Allow you to experience your child's firsts because it's your child. It reads like your baby is catnip for her. She can't get enough of reliving raising a baby again. This will be very bad for you and your wife because it will put you and your wife in constant conflict with her. You should not ever live with her or take money from her. If you do, you're giving up control to her. She wants to be in control of you. She wants to be in control of your baby and experience your baby's firsts instead of you. You are going to need to limit her visits and never allow her unsupervised time, as you won't be able to know what she is doing and she will not follow your rules. There is no reason for her to have unsupervised time with your child. Unsupervised time is for people that you trust to take care of your baby in a safe and loving manner and follow your rules to the letter. The OP replies, "Thank you. Seriously, from both of us, this reply was incredible. Okay, I'm starting to understand what we need to do and loving the adult timeout. She's actually on that now because of the check situation created last week. No current communication until further notice. You are absolutely correct when you say she wants a do-over baby. She did a poor job with my wife and is obsessed with control and having a relationship with our child. 100% catnip." Next response from Crinkle B. "Please make sure she doesn't have access to your home. No spare keys anywhere. Not under a mat or with a neighbor, and not with her in any case. I'd also suggest cameras because she feels so entitled to your child, it would not be a stretch for her to break in. What are grandparents' rights where you are? Something to learn about." Speechless Mally has a simple response to "We need advice." No contact.